When you're sitting at your desk, eager to start working on a project that requires your full concentration. You've got your computer open, a cup of coffee by your side, and a clear goal in mind. But within minutes, your phone buzzes with notifications, messages, social media updates, and news alerts. You glance at it, intending to quickly check and get back to work. Yet, as you unlock your phone, you find yourself pulled into a whirlpool of distractions. So how can we reach the maximum stage of work to achieve optimal results? Welcome to today's episode, in which you will discover one of the most important skills in this era, deep work, which is the title of today's book, by the writer Cal Newport. Verify that you are subscribed to the channel to watch more explanations. And now, let's begin. So what is deep work? What is the difference between it and shallow work? Deep work, it is a group of practical activities that you perform in a state of intense focus, in a way that pushes your cognitive abilities to their limits. It is the wide-open time you need to do your best work and get in a flow state. Like scribing. As for shallow work, it is the tasks that do not require knowledge, and can be performed even in cases of distraction and lack of focus, such as answering emails and chatting. Let's get back to the deep work now. Suppose Adam wants to write a novel. He has two ways of writing it. Method 1. It is to write a little, then talk a little with his friends on social media, then go back to writing, then go to watch a movie, then go back to writing, and so on. As for the second way, it is to prepare a suitable environment and sit alone for a long and continuous time, isolated from the world. Adam enters this environment in order to isolate himself from all distractions and to be able to focus as much as possible. And he does not come out of it unless he has finished writing a certain number of pages of the novel, or even when a certain time passes that he specified before starting work. We all know that this is the most correct way for Adam to finish writing the novel. However, we follow the first method. The problem with the first method is that our world is full of distractions, and every day the size of the distractions increases. After less than 10 minutes, at least one message will come to you from either YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, or other applications, and we do not forget the messages of games and movies applications, which will enter us into a spiral that has no end, and with the press of a single button it will enter us in a new worlds, fun and stimulating for neurons, and our body will go along with it, and continue to stimulate us with dopamine equivalents, without knowing the problems it is committing. The scary thing that the writer came up with in the book is our necessary need for deep work, and this is because the form of jobs in this time is changing, and in our dispersed age, deep work becomes an advantage for a very few people. It is this advantage that makes them take all the jobs that move the economy in our current world. So how can I function without distraction in a world full of distractions? I will tell you how to reach deep work and become one of the rare people who will survive in this world. But the first and most important thing you will do to start deep work is to create the appropriate environment for deep work. There is an American writer who was asked to hand in a draft of a book in less than 2 weeks, and he did not know how he would do that, but he remembered that he writes better while flying, so he decided to go on a round trip to Japan, and this trip was about 30 hours long. Indeed, after the trip, the writer had finished writing. Of course, I am not telling you to work on a flight, but what I want to convey to you is, what is the appropriate environment with your work? And suppose it is your office, for example, it must be equipped and contain all the tools you need and keep away from it all distractions, most notably your phone. And if you use your phone at work, leave your phone on airplane mode, or turn off all notifications so as not to distract you from work. It is better to set a specific time for work so that your mind is programmed for it, and after a while you will find yourself improving by working and focusing. Now let's get into the 4 key skills for deep work acquisition. The first rule, it is the routine of working in depth, and the writer at the beginning of this rule talks to us about willpower, and tells us that it ends with use just like a phone battery, so you must know what you will spend your time on during the day, and how to properly use your willpower. Instead of doing superficial things that waste your energy and will eventually hinder you from entering into deep work. The writer told us that there are 3 ways that we can follow in order to reach the stage of deep work. The first method is monasticism, and here the writer advises us to isolate and completely stay away from shallow works and social media. The second way is duplication. Here we will divide our time during the day. The time we work deeply, and the rest we can enjoy and waste it away having fun. The last method, it is the method of journalists. In it the writer tells us about the types of people who can enter the stage of deep work very quickly. For example, a person surfing the internet or responding to emails and suddenly comes to his mind something about work or the idea of a new project. So he starts working on this idea with full concentration, then he returns to the shallow works. And this method is close to the work of journalists, writers, and people whose work requires concentration with the outside world all the time, so they must quickly separate themselves from their lives and enter the stage of deep work. But the author does not recommend this method, especially for beginners. It is better to start by making a schedule and putting in the tasks that need focus, and providing them with at least 4 hours a day, and with the passage of time, training, and commitment to these hours, your mind will get used to entering a state of depth. In order for our mind to return to that easily, we must accept boredom, which is the second rule of deep work. With the development of distractions in our current time, we have become accustomed to searching for new things all the time. At any spare moment, we enter into the world of social media and games. The problem is that these actions make us get distracted more easily. Therefore, our focus will be lost when we do something important, so the writer tells us to train ourselves to accept boredom and stop running away from it, and this is so that we can get out of the closed circle that begins with attempts to eliminate boredom, and ends with our inability to focus on anything. The third rule of the book is, get rid of social media. And the writer here advises us to stay away from it completely. And since this matter is completely impossible except for a very small group of people, so the writer suggests to us an easier way to use social media, which is that we think, why do we use social media? I mean, when you think about buying a car. Why? Maybe in order to make it easier for you to move around, then we must use social media for specific goals. Such as the goal of buying a car. We treat social media as a tool, not as an end. Will we use it to grow our own business? To meet new friends? Or to watch people talking about the same topics we care about? Also, the writer advises us that even if we use social media, there must be times of interruption from it. At the beginning, the writer advises that we stay away from it for a month or a week, and after the period of cessation, we ask ourselves, could this month have been better if we had opened social media? And the second question, did anyone notice our absence or not? Based on the answers to these 2 questions, we will know if we are supposed to return to social media or remain disconnected from it. And now we come to the fourth and final rule for acquiring the skill of deep work, which is limiting superficiality. And superficiality, as we said, are things we do while we are distracted and unfocused, and anyone can do them and have the same result. The author tells us, at the outset, about an experiment carried out by the Signal software company, which is that it reduced the number of working days. At that time, many people attacked the company because of its behavior, but the strange thing is that the company's productivity increased, and there are other companies after that also began to make their workers work fewer hours. How does that happen? The whole idea is that when time decreases, workers try to finish work because they feel that time is short, and therefore they will not waste their time responding to messages and browsing social media, and this will put them into a state of deep work, and thus they will accomplish more work. There are also recent studies that say that 60% workers' time is wasted communicating with customers, responding to emails, and most of these communication processes are without real benefit. In order to reduce your superficial work, you must first follow the details of your day accurately, which means bring a paper and pen and write down everything you do in all the details. For at least a week, to start noticing where your time is going and in what exactly. Finally, my friend, I will tell you that it is important to know what are the things that will distinguish you from others, and that will make you the rare person among all. As we said at the beginning, the world makes us more distracted every day, and business needs us to be more focused. So Cal Newport tells us that deep work is a miraculous power in our time, but despite the scarcity of this characteristic, it is easy to acquire if we start to focus on it a little. It is not necessary that the advice of this book benefit us all, and not all of us can isolate and stop social media, especially if it includes our actions. But the right thing is to understand the tips and make our own mix that will benefit us in our daily lives. Thank you, reader, for watching. Your subscription to the channel will motivate me to download more videos, so do not forget to subscribe to the channel, and put a like if you like the video. And goodbye.